Hello everybody, Sweetest God, the second episode of Moon Knight, and it was another good episode, so today we're going to talk about it. Let's go. So I definitely think that I like the first episode a little bit more than this one. I think just the first episode just had like a weird, just like confusion on it, like in a good way, with like the style. It was new and different, whereas this one was a little more straightforward. Of course, obviously, it needed to be that. If they just kept it confusing for like the entire season, it would, it wouldn't really work out. So they kind of needed to give more information in this episode, but it definitely seemed more of like the episode that had to be there. There was some fun stuff in it, but I definitely enjoyed the first one better since they were able to just kind of, throw us into just this confusing situation, and now that we kind of figure out a little bit more of like what's going on, it's a little less interesting. Again, still very much enjoyed this episode. It was very fun to see Mark and Steven interact. It was fun seeing like, Mark talking to Steven in the mirrors. I think there was like a lot of fun things with like how they would use like different reflections to have Mark show up. Like it wasn't always just like a mirror. It was sometimes just like the gun, like the reflective surface of the gun would be like he would be in that, or like a bowl or something when he was talking to Harrow. Like, there was like cool stuff like that where it wasn't simply just big mirror. Sometimes there's like a small thing where you can maybe only see like some of his face in it. I thought that was very fun how they used the mirrors and stuff and have them interact. I will say it was a bit annoying when like Steven wouldn't listen to Mark. Like it would just, I don't know, because like clearly Mark knows more about what's going on, so it's just kind of annoying when he's not listening to him. Of course, I mean, I'll admit, if I found out I had another personality in my head that would talk to me in mirrors or reflections, I might not listen to them immediately either, but it's just kind of annoying because like we kind of know that Mark, knows what's going on and is probably right about a lot of stuff, so it's kind of annoying when he's like telling him, don't show her the scarab, don't show her the scarab, and it's like he's about to do it and he's not listening to him, or he's telling him to, give him the body so he could, get them out of the situation. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. It's like, it's kind of annoying. But of course, it also kind of makes sense with the character, with, what's going on, so it's not that big of a deal, but it is a little annoying to have him just like completely just like not listening to Mark. Oh, it was really cool to have the roles reversed at the end where Mark takes over the body and Steven is in the mirror. I think that was really cool, and I expect that next episode is going to be kind of mainly Mark, kind of the whole episode is going to be reversed. So Mark will be, in control of the body, and Steven will be in the mirror, and we'll kind of get a reverse of what was going on in this episode, which I think will be fun to see, kind of like an opposite thing, and probably learn a little bit more about Mark. And I'm also guessing we're not going to see those blackouts from last episode fill in, which I'm fine with. I think we didn't really need to see them. We kind of get the idea of what happened, and I think it's just kind of like, I don't think we really need to see them that much. It just would have been cool if like this episode was last episode in reverse, if, from Mark's perspective, but if, it's not how it worked out, so it's not really that big of a deal. Also, I didn't mention this last time, but Oscar Isaac is doing a phenomenal job with this role, like, being both Steven and Mark, and I assume other personalities as it goes forward, but just like, given like a distinct performance when he's being each one, like it just, I don't know, he's doing a phenomenal job playing the different personalities, so in like kind of a very like distinct way, so you kind of know who's who just by like, the way he talks, the way he even just like, you know, just like his body language or anything, just kind of like shows you who's who. I think that's just very interesting. I think he's doing a great job there. But I'll move on to Layla. We get introduced to her this episode. I guess we kind of were introduced to her last episode with the phone call. But, we see her this episode, and it's a bit confusing. Did she not know that Mark had different personalities? Like, I don't know. It's just like, it's weird because you would think she would know he has different personalities, so she wouldn't be that confused about, Steven being in control. Like, maybe she didn't know about Steven, but, like, I feel like she would have known something. I feel like Mark would have told her he had different personalities, so she wouldn't be this surprised about Steven being in control. I'm just a little bit confused about that. But overall, I think she's a great character, really cool. Awesome to see her kind of getting in on the action at the end of this episode. She's awesome. I can't wait to see more of her and more of the backstory between her and Mark. Interesting to find out that they were married, or they are married. They're going to be getting a divorce, I guess. I really want to learn more about their past. But I'll move on to talking about our villain, Harrow. I remembered his name this time. And I think, obviously this episode we get some more of the backstory of him, more of what his whole deal is. You find out that he was Khonshu's former avatar, and he kind of didn't like how he was, bringing about justice after the fact, whereas he kind of wants to do something where people get judged before they commit the crime. Again, Project Insight, very reminiscent of that, as I said last time. But and so his whole thing, he's trying to find Amit, the god who could do that, and he kind of has some of her power in the staff thing he has, so he is able to do it somewhat. But when he resurrects Amit, then he'll be able to kind of just kill everybody on Earth who's going to do something bad in the future, and it'll be peace on Earth. But yeah, I think this is very interesting motivation for a villain. Again, very, very reminiscent of Project Insight from Winter Soldier, which I like. And I also like how, it's similar enough to, make the connection, but it's different enough to where it's not, a complete ripoff, because it's this is, again, Project Insight was an algorithm. This one is, more of, a mystical, or, a god doing this. So it's more of a supernatural element to it. So it's different enough, and I think it's really interesting. And it's also interesting, again, that Harrow was Khonshu's former avatar. I think that was a very interesting piece of information to find out. And I loved that moment when they were talking, and he was telling him, oh, did he just say this? He was even though he couldn't hear what Khonshu was saying to Steven, he kind of knew what was happening. There's that hilarious moment where he's like, I am true justice. Oh, did he just say, I am true justice? That was so hilarious.
I am real justice.
What's he saying now? I am real justice.
And I think it's cool to show, he's been through the whole thing. He kind of knows the whole deal, because he was his former avatar. I think that's a fun detail to throw in. That's very interesting piece of his backstory. Then I'll move on nicely to Khonshu. So apparently, Khonshu's this god who brings about justice on people who do bad things. And apparently he saved Mark's life, and now Mark has a debt to pay to him. They have some sort of deal where he's his servant, and he has to, I guess, go out and, like I just said, enact justice, vengeance. Very Batman, I'm vengeance.
I'm vengeance.
But enact vengeance on evildoers. And so, there's some kind of deal they have there, and it's going to be interesting to learn more about that, and I'm assuming we're gonna find something out. Like, Khonshu isn't the greatest. He kind of seems a bit like a jerk, and I think we're gonna find out something more is going on there. Something's going to happen where I don't know if Khonshu's gonna have like a character arc and he'll like change his perspective, or if like he'll kind of go out of the picture, but somehow Mark and Steven will still have the Moon Knight stuff, Moon Knight powers, and they're gonna kind of do things their own way. There's gonna be something going on there. I don't think it's going to be as simple as Khonshu is, you know, as simple as it is now. Like, I don't think it's going to be as simple. It's just like it's going to stay the way it is now. There's something they're setting up there to kind of change in the future. I don't know exactly how it will, but they're setting up something because it's not immediately like you're not like, oh, Khonshu, he's pure-hearted, all of that. You want him to be, you know, leader. You're kind of like, this guy isn't the greatest. There's gonna be something there. There's gonna be something going on there. Also, apparently, Layla would be his next avatar if Mark quits. So that's interesting. I assume that's not going to actually happen. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe like down the line, whenever whenever Oscar Isaac's like, yeah, I'm out, or when there's been enough going on with that, with Moon Knight, maybe they'll have her be the new Moon Knight. Of course, we need a lot more Moon Knight before we could, get to the point where we are getting a new Moon Knight. But that could be where they're going. So that would be interesting to see. But yeah, very interesting that Layla is his next candidate to be his avatar, and that's kind of Mark's motivation for continuing to do this, because he doesn't want to put Layla in harm's way in the situation he's in, so he's kind of protecting her by not giving this up. So yeah, very interesting. But now I'll talk about the invisible monsters that have to fight that only Mark or Steven can see. And I think it's interesting. I think the idea of having people fight invisible creatures is always kind of cool. At the same time, though, it does kind of feel a bit like you just got yourself out of having to do CGI, didn't you? Yeah, and like there's a few points where it was just like kind of annoying. Like, okay, we get it's an invisible thing. Can we just see it? Like, of course, then we do get to see it, and it's not the greatest CGI. But yeah, usually I don't complain about the CGI, but just the CGI that I kind of noticed and was like, it's not the greatest, but it's good enough. And yeah, there's just a few moments where I was just kind of like I think there's one moment in particular where it's like a wide shot, and they're both like, and Steven and Layla are on like two sides of the creature, and like they're actually, I think the creature is holding Layla upside down, and Steven like hits it with something, and it just looked weird, because I think I wish we could have seen it, because I was kind of confused on what exactly was happening there. I could tell, like, okay, the monster's like holding Layla up, but I don't really know where Steven hit it, so it was just kind of a bit confusing with that. I think I just kind of wish that they showed the jackal more there. I think it just kind of got a bit annoying with like, oh, it's an invisible thing, only Steven can see it. Like, you can show that idea, but then just show it afterwards. We don't need to have it invisible, especially if like we're not really seeing it from Layla's perspective anymore. Like, if the perspective of it we're supposed to be seeing is Layla fighting it, then yeah, make it invisible. But like, as soon as you go to Steven trying to hit it with something, let us see it, because Steven can see it. So that was a bit annoying how they kind of handled that. I think any time a movie or show kind of does that with having an invisible thing that the heroes are fighting, I feel like it never is like the perfect amount of invisible to being able to be seen. Like, it always feels a bit weird, like they either didn't have enough invisible for it to be interesting that it's invisible, but they didn't, or maybe they had it too much, like here, where it's like you just you get the point, it's invisible, now you want to see it, and it just kind of feels like they just got themselves out as doing CGI. yeah, I definitely, I think they could have handled it better. But I do think that it's an interesting idea to have these monsters that only that only the Avatar, Conjure's Avatar can see. So anyway, now I'll talk about, we get more Moon Knight. That was fun to see. Some more Moon Knight, very, very Batman-esque again. I kind of referenced this earlier, but, when Harrow and Steven are talking, they're talking about vengeance. Very much Batman.
I was the fist of vengeance.
I'm vengeance.
And yeah, definitely like that sequence where we finally see him summon the suit, which actually, the Moon Knight suit isn't the first suit that is summoned. Actually, Steven summons his own suit. I guess he becomes Mr. Knight like that. That was fun to see. Steven, kind of using the powers, having his own suit. I assume this isn't going to be something that's going to be kind of prevalent moving forward. I think it was kind of just a fun thing to throw in here. Maybe just like an Easter egg to Mr. Knight. I guess that's a thing from the comics. So I assume it was just kind of like a fun thing here. I'm not really predicting that this is going to kind of, be a thing moving forward, but it was cool to see Steven have his own suit, using the powers, fighting himself, fighting the monster himself, not having Mark do it. But of course, he then gives the body to Mark. Mark gets the suit on, and, he summons the suit, and we get that sequence where, he's running on the rooftops and ends up killing the monster, the jackal creature, which that was fun. Again, very Batman-esque, and part of me is like, part of me likes that like they're not giving too much of Moon Knight, kind of keeping our anticipation, like only kind of giving him in like little bursts, kind of like increasing the bursts that we get of him, but like not really giving us too much of Moon Knight in these episodes. Part of me likes that, but another part of me is just like, can we get to some more Moon Knight? Like, I want to see more of this. I don't want it to just be like a quick little sequence that is over in like, 3 minutes. So I kind of wish it went on for a bit longer, but I'm sure we're going to get a lot more later on. This is only the second episode out of 6, and also, this is only his first appearance in the MCU, so I'm sure we're going to get a lot more Moon Knight eventually, but it is kind of, it's a little bit annoying that they're not giving us so much of him, but at the same time, I'm like, they're keeping the anticipation. At least we got this little burst, but they're kind of just focusing on the other story elements, which is fine. Then, to finish off this episode, we go to Egypt. We're going to find Amit's tomb before Harrow does, and we see Steven in the mirror now. I didn't notice it the first time that Steven was in the mirror. Like, they show him in the mirror, then they pan over to Mark sitting at the foot of the bed. So, like, I kind of was confused the first time I watched it. Like, I didn't really realize that it wasn't Mark in the mirror. I don't know why I didn't put that together. For some reason, I thought, like, Mark had completely gotten rid of, like, not, like, kill Steven, but, like, kind of got rid of him when he smashed the mirror, so Steven wasn't really there anymore. But when I watched it the second time, I realized, oh, he's in the mirror, he's sitting on the bed facing the mirror, and Mark's sitting at the foot of the bed on the floor. And there's also, like, a crack in the mirror, so that makes me think, at some point prior to that, Mark punched that mirror, or kicked that mirror also, getting mad at Steven. So clearly, Mark has some anger issues. He kind of has to deal with some of those, but, I definitely am excited for the next episode. I think it's going to be, like I said before, very interesting to see the roles reversed for next episode, with Mark being in control and Steven kind of talking to him in the reflections in the mirrors. And it's going to be interesting to see their kind of dynamic kind of, change as the show goes on, and for them to kind of not be so much in conflict with each other and probably end up learning to work together more. It's going to be cool to see. Can't wait to see where this is going next, and can't wait to see more of Moon Knight in the suit doing cool stuff. But at the same time, I also understand why they're giving us it in bursts. But yeah, I'm enjoying Moon Knight so far, and I think this is going to be one of the best Disney Plus shows. I'm still on board with that opinion. I'm still kind of like, this is going to be a really good one, probably going to be the best. Anyway, though, those are my thoughts on the second episode of Moon Knight. Please comment below yours. Remember to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and maybe check out some of my other videos. And with that said, that's a wrap.